we rolling? All right, yeah, I had to pull back the lens a little bit in order to be able to see what this thing can be. Because otherwise, I was like looking at like I'm just gonna drown. If I have to do this forever, I'm gonna hate it. I'm gonna hate my life, and I'm not gonna make the money that I want to.
You're not, because your time is the amount of money you can make is restrained by your time. Because if you're like a one-man band, there's only so much you could do. So like, what's like, okay, so how did this start? Like, tell me your story.
Sure. So this all started because I was working at a family company, business sold, new owners took over, and I just wasn't really liking it anymore.
Okay.
And I started
So your
learning.
family owned that company? Or
They owned it.
Okay,
And they sold it.
Okay.
And then I just wasn't feeling it anymore. I'd worked a lot there, like done a lot of really cool stuff there. It was in aviation maintenance tracking software. So I had to go to like some pretty badass places. Like got to go on Air Force bases in Vegas and
That's
stuff.
dope,
like,
yeah.
It was pretty sweet. But I started learning music production and going through the process, learned it while I was still there, kind of like working, learning. And then somebody asked me like, hey, can you produce a podcast for me? I said, yeah. And I took a leap of faith.
And you didn't know at the time how to do it? Or you kind of somewhat knew?
I knew how to record audio.
Yeah,
I knew that I could.
yeah.
I knew I could EQ and compress a voice, and I was like, I could figure the rest out. That fell through, but I started this personal podcast that I'm now relaunching, and then started producing a podcast for my brother. So he's in aviation, had a business podcast with it, and like I got to make all the mistakes, learn the chops, everything like that. But dude, I got to see like executives from like all over private aviation would drive over from the East Coast, fly in to be in a studio that was at 239 Work. It was a shared workspace. We had a couple cameras and microphones, and like people loved it. Like these executives would fly in and be part of something that had 50 views, and I'm like, there's something here. So I tried to sell it, but nobody friggin' understood what I was talking about.
What year was this?
This was like
2017, 2018?
No, this was like a year.
A year ago?
Yeah, basically a year ago, a year and a half ago.
Just for some context, I was doing podcasting here in like 2017, bro.
Really?
Nobody knew what the fuck it was.
Right? Dude,
Nobody
what was
understood.
that? What was that like to be in that spot?
I was known as the podcast guy. It
Really?
it was easy for me to pitch it because I was already like popular around here. Like I already knew a lot of people. And I had previously interned at the radio station at 105.5.
Okay.
And the story of how I got in there is crazy too. But I was interning there, so I had relationships with like all the disc jockeys and stuff.
Okay.
So I wanted a job, and they were like, "Yo, we don't have the budget for it." So I was like, "All right, I'm just doing my own fucking podcast." And then I was all my friends at the radio station. I was like, "Yo, just come be a guest." And as soon as like the first episode was like DJ Quest. As soon as we posted that, everyone just started hitting me up, like locally, because he's already had like a big name and stuff. So
okay,
I did that for like a few years. As far as here goes, again, it's the same things to your point, but like no one understood what it was, and I didn't really know how to explain it either. I'm like, it's kind of like a radio show, but it's kind of not. It exists on the internet. How many views you get? 20? Like
yeah.
So it was. So I get it. But to your point too, really quickly, I realized, and I found it out quick too, because no one here was doing it. So I realized like this is not the podcast is not like the product. The podcast is just the tool for me to like move around and get to whoever I want to get to. Because at the end of the day, everyone wants to be interviewed. Everyone wants to feel famous, right? Even if they don't say it, they want the camera in their face. They want to tell their story. Like, so if you tell someone like, hey, let's grab a cup of coffee, they're gonna be like, I don't want to fucking talk to you. But if you're like, hey, let's hop on a podcast, I'm like, oh shit, let's go. So I started using it as like a networking thing because at the time I was in the music industry like you. So I would reach out to like rappers with a name, not super mainstream, but like the middle tier guys. And I'm like, hey, look, I interviewed DJ Quest, I have a podcast. And then right away, they're like, all right, let's do it. And then like little by little, I started like moving around. And I would go to Miami and interview people. I would go to Orlando, Tampa, like. So I had like a little name. But like, well, you're actually in a different phase than me, but it's hard to monetize podcasts. So like, it got to the point where I'm like, dude, I'm doing all this traveling. I'm getting hotels. I'm doing all this shit. And I'm like, I ain't making no fucking money, bro. And
Money's flowing.
Yeah.
It's flowing out.
Yeah. I was like, fuck this. And I just stopped. And now though, like I'm thinking about starting one back up because now I kind of get it. And I'm like, okay, I can monetize it this way. And even the monetization thing, I'm like, I don't even want to make money. I just want to use this as a vessel to like help me get to where I need to get to. So
yeah, dude. And if you do start that, like I'll share whatever that you want to know about this, because I ran into the same thing, and like I'm still figuring a ton of this out, and it's changing all the time because the path to money with this stuff is not super straightforward on the podcast. And like, so I had this one. This one's called CHEINE On,
right?
And like Chris Hine, CHEINE, people called me CHEINE at my last job, so that's where it comes from. And so like I had this, I started it up really as a way to like get this moving and learn and do all this stuff, but I realized pretty quickly I was spending a ton of time, put a bunch of money into it, and like I came to resent doing it because I was doing all the edits by myself, doing the camera switches after the fact. So I had this conversation that's like hour and a half long, and then I'm doing the camera stuff, edits, uploads, trying to chop clips, all while trying to get other customers. And it was like, dude, what the fuck am I doing? Like it wasn't moving the ball forward. I'm glad I did it, but then I was trying to sell it, dude. So this is kind of how it came about, is I was trying to sell podcast production services for other people. And I'm like, hey, do you want a podcast for your business? And they go, oh, okay. Well, how's your podcast doing? And I'm like, that's not what I'm asking. I'm trying
to give you a podcast.
I'm trying to give you a podcast. And they're like, oh, okay. Do you charge to be on it? And I was like, no, because like, artistic integrity. Oh, shit. Oh, that's why we got the battery packs.
Yeah.
Look at that. But like, no, because of artistic integrity, all that kind of stuff. And then I was like, one day it clicked, like, why don't I just create a podcast that I charge people to be on? But I can't just go, hey, you got to pay me to be on the show.
Yeah.
Like, everybody like, go fuck yourself, dude. So I was like, what can I do? I got these cameras, I got this studio, I have all this stuff, and it's a pain in the ass for people to make content for their business. So that was the initial sale, was like, come on, we'll do this interview. I'm going to sell this content to you, and we'll chop it up into clips, and you can use it for your stuff, all this. So that's what the first like season became. It was like 30 episodes, 30 business owners. We did it, like got the price to go up and up, like, and it was good, but kind of was starting to hit the burnout phase of like, this isn't enough money per episode for the work that we're doing, like paying an employee, doing all these things.
How long is each podcast as well?
Like an hour long. Plus we're doing 10 clips. Plus we put it out. We do social media posts. We do like all this promotion and stuff.
Yeah.
And so it's like, it was a ton of work, but the main thing, like we said before we started rolling, is like, I became a slave to the sales.
Yeah.
Like I could not get away from having to be constantly in sales mode.
Yeah.
And then once you get sales in the door and the money starts coming in, then you have to fulfill. You have to fulfill. And it was like, oh man, like this switch back and forth between sales and fulfillment, like both were suffering. And I was like, sales is going to take the hit because I have to make this shit good. And that's not a good spot to be in. So like now I'm kind of pulling back the lens. We're doing something different for season 2. But part of the reason why I reached out is I watched it was like 8 minutes long.
Yeah.
I saw it and I was like, I was sitting there one night and I was looking at it like, fuck, this guy's like, I got to talk to you because you're ahead of me in the path of turning this into a business. Like you said, you're talking to other videographers that are working their ass off and making like $3,500 or $5,000 a month.
Yeah.
Or if they're making big dollars,
they're working every day.
They're every day, nonstop. Like you're up at 7, you're not off the job till 7 type thing.
Yeah, that was a real call too. That was a friend of mine in Miami. Actually lied. He wasn't making 15. He was making 20. I just didn't want to like put all his business out there, but he was making 20. And I'm like, okay, we made the same amount. I'm like, but how much? I'm like, what's your schedule like? And he was like, dude, I'm shooting every day, bro. Like, how do you do it? I'm like, bro, I only shot 5 times this month. Like, I'm like, bro, you gotta raise your prices. So okay, so I think for you is like, how much are you charging for that, or how much were you charging?
$1,500 and $2,500.
Okay, and they get 10 clips.
10 clips plus the full interview plus the research before. plus the promotion, all that stuff.
As far as the interview goes, like, you come up with the questions like beforehand?
For the most part, yeah.
Okay.
And then it's more of a flow, but do an interview, ask them about their business, how they're helping their customers.
Yeah.
Based on that, come up with questions that are just a guideline.
Yeah.
And then we put it out there, and then we go through the interview. And then it's more flowing.
But you have like a template though. Like, for example, if you were to hire someone to like replace you as an interviewer, you could give them like, make sure you hit this. Okay. Cool. Okay. So $1,500, $2,500. You rent this, I assume, right?
Yep.
How much is it, if you don't mind me asking?
It's pretty much. I've got a deal, so it's like pretty cheap. It's like less than $1,000 a month.
Okay. These are your cameras. You're renting the cameras, or they're yours?
They're mine. I own them.
Yeah, bro. You gotta charge a lot more, bro.
That's why. So part of it is for this stuff. The next season. So like a couple things with like the sales aspect was part of doing a continuous thing too. That's like a one-time thing is that people could just go, yeah, like, oh, follow up with me next month. Like we'll figure like we'll do it then. So now next thing is I'm doing a season. So we have 12 slots, recording everything in January. We're putting it out from February to April. So there's 12 episodes that'll go out in that 3-month window.
Okay.
So you only can buy like, it's like kind of like a buy now, or like you've got a few week window to actually put a deposit down. We have this many slots. You got to get in at that time. So it's giving a sense of urgency in the sales process that otherwise kind of wasn't there because it was like a continuous thing. So that's one angle. But really where I wanted to pick your brain on this stuff is the recurring revenue, like becoming like it seems like what you're doing is becoming kind of an employee of several companies from the sense of you're providing marketing strategy, you're providing direction with the content, you're getting out of the commodity zone, and I've got a few deals lined up that'll put me more in that spot via podcast, via some content creation. How did you get to that point? Like, what were you struggling with, and what was kind of like the click that made you shift to this direction?
I don't even know how to answer that. So I think I was in a similar boat. Well, two things I want to I'm gonna answer your question, and then there's something that popped in my head while you're talking. I was in a similar boat as you. I was like freelancing, and I was trying to like, I don't know. I didn't see a way to get rich. This shit. Like, I'm just be honest. Like, I was like, how can I be a millionaire doing this? I'm like, there's fucking no way. Then I started looking at like, okay, I could run a video production company, which I can have like an office, I can have a bunch of cameras, I can have a bunch of like whatever. But the overhead is so fucking high.
Crazy.
I'm like, I'm not gonna get rich off that either, bro. Like, even if I make $1 million, the way all that shit's gonna cost and like the employees and the insurance, I'm like, dude, like I'm probably gonna take home like $250,000. I'm like, fuck that. I'd rather get a job. Then I was like, okay, well, what else can I do like besides this? And videographers aren't taking us serious, right? So I was like, okay, but what if I'm a marketer that just so happens to use video? I'm like, okay, but what is marketing? I didn't know what the fuck marketing was, and I started reading some books, whatever. Anyway, so what I'm trying to say is like, a lot of people create content, right? Like everyone creates content, everyone talks about content, but the issue is, and I saw this working with my mentor, like he creates a shit ton of content, but he doesn't give a fuck about the content. What he really cares about is the distribution of the content. And that's where everyone fucks up at. Like all these companies, like all these videographers, they'll create all this shit and they'll give it to their client. Like, here you go. And the client doesn't know what the fuck to do with content.
That's where I was at with all of these videography
they don't know what, they don't post. They don't fucking want to post. They don't know where to post. They don't have the correct, like they just sit on it. And then they're like, yo, your shit doesn't work.
Yeah.
It's like, no, you just didn't do what the fuck you needed to do.
Did you open the Dropbox link and click download? Well, no, I looked at it.
Not only that, you have the shit on your phone. What did you do with it? Oh, I posted on my Instagram. When? Oh, whatever. Like, okay, you don't know what to do. I know what to do, right? So then I'm like, okay, well, I can give you the strategy. But one thing I didn't realize is that's a whole nother job. Like, that's not inclusive. Like, and I had to learn it through trial and error. I'm like, oh, okay. And I was like, yo, if I give you the right strategy, if I tell you what to do with all this stuff and it performs well, because I don't work for money, I work for results. That's really what I care about. Like, so if this shit works well, you're gonna be more incentivized to just keep coming back to me.
Yeah.
So that's like, and that's what happened this week. One of my clients, we did a bunch of content for him, and then he's like, it worked well, and then he was like, yo, let's work again, like come January. Like, let's come up with like a whole new strategy. So like, what I suggest to you, bro, is like you kind of provide the strategy. Okay, I was gonna ask you like, what if you get people on like a 3-month retainer or something like that? Have you thought about that?
Yeah, that's the direction I'm going.
Yeah,
is actually in some cases even longer. So part of this is how do you normally structure this stuff at the beginning? Do you do like, hey, we're doing a package up front and then we can continue work together? Do you do contracts right off the bat? What are some of the ways that you work?
That actually changed recently. But what I do with people is it's a 6-month contract, and the first 3 months are like where we do all the work, like the shooting, the ideating, the strategizing, blah, blah, blah. And then the second 3 months is just like distribution, me telling you like what to do, when to do it, pretty much like that. And that works fine. That might change too because I'm pivoting a lot of different things. So I'm pivoting a lot of different things. So that might change, but again, like to me, that I don't know, we just get better results, bro. Like people like, and I hate to say it, but people they need their hand held, you know? Like
for sure.
So
this isn't their sweet
world.
spot.
Right. And honestly, a lot of people don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Like if you're some CEO and you're ranking in whatever, like you don't give like, bro, just post my fucking video. Like I don't give a shit. But your issue is you're gonna have to be careful, which I'm careful too, is you don't want to get into social media management. Or maybe you do, but
no, that's been one of the biggest hesitations for that.
That's a whole nother headache.
That side of things. And so one of the pieces that I'm like looking for with clients now is clients that want to do this aspect can't do this aspect, right? They can't.
Yeah.
They don't even know what equipment to buy.
Right.
They don't even know what equipment they would need in order to buy, let alone learn all this shit, do all this. Like, so basically I'm looking for businesses that have like the monthly budget to be able to do it. In a lot of cases, probably have a marketing team or like a ground level marketer who handles all that stuff. And a lot of people that work at companies, they're not excelling at marketing, not because they're stupid or not because like they don't care, or some people don't care. That you're always going to run into that. But like there's not really enough to work with to really test things out and see what's working. So like I'm talking to a company right now. They want to do this. They want to get the podcast. But I just went and did research on their YouTube, on their Instagram, on all these different things. And I'm looking at them go like, hey, I saw that you've posted one reel one time. What was the difference there between the other stuff? And she was like, it was huge. Like even though it only got a couple hundred views, that was huge in comparison to the 12 views that they get from the Happy 4th of July.
Yeah.
And then looking at like YouTube Shorts. Like once Ty came on and he started implementing that, we took the channel from I think maybe 1,000 views to over 20,000 views, and he did that in like a month or 5 weeks or something. Which, in the grand scheme of things, like it's a great start, and like you're not going to change the world with 20,000 views on Shorts, but helping people understand, hey, this is what you can do with all of this content if you take this, use it here, incorporate it in your blog post, do this, like all the shit that these marketers have been waiting for. They're waiting for their CEO to like give them direction, or waiting for the executives to give them direction. It's like, hey, rather than waiting for them to tell you, let's film them talking, and you can extract all of these pieces out, and I'll guide you through the process. So that way, I'm trying to get out, like you said, get out of that commodity zone. And if they've got a person working there who can actually execute and post and do all that thing that the rest of the executive team doesn't care about. Yeah. Like that's who I'm seeing right now. Those are all my sales conversations that are actually moving ahead for high monthly dollar amounts.
Yeah. Yeah, I think yeah, bro, like so to kind of talk about like the 3 month retainer for you guys, cuz I think like I'm just thinking, bro, like if someone comes in and they do a podcast, right? And then like they get 10 clips, I still don't think that's enough to test, bro. I still don't think that's enough for someone to watch and want to buy into their service. So that's why I think like a 3 month retainer. I mean, I don't know how your business works, but 3 month retainer, have them come on 3 to 6 months retainer, have them come on like every month or something. And from each month you extract 10 to 15 clips and you just keep putting that shit out. And then the best performing one, add a call to action to it, run it as an ad or something. I think that'll be a lot more like they'll see that and they'll be open for that as well.
That's more of the direction I'm going. So these are two separate things. So I got the business podcast.
Yeah.
That's like the one-time thing. And I realized, like you said, people don't know what to do with the content. So I give them the content, but the next batch is going to be the promotion aspect.
Yeah.
Because if we put this, we got a pretty heavy budget behind it. Like we were talking about before, is like push that out to Fort Myers and Naples on YouTube. So basically in 6 months, 1 million people are going to see that ad for the podcast. More, but 1 million people are either going to click through that link or watch 30 seconds of it. So
I think you should sell that.
Yeah.
Like the content stuff is cool and all. Like it's like the hook to get them in the door, but you should really sell like.
That's what I started selling because the promotion piece is what people have trouble with. And I've built the platform. I have the foundation. I have a little fire built. And now it's like, I'm about to pour a shitload of gasoline on this. Do you want to be like part of the initial that like gets this huge boost?
Yeah.
And so that's that. So that's like this business podcast, the platform, all that stuff. And then the other side is like actually producing their podcast or like if they want to create like a YouTube channel, something that gives them the content in some form like this that they can do recurring. And then you can get, like you said, like 20, 30, 40 clips a month or 40 pieces of content, clips, audiograms, turn that into some blog posts. Like there's all these tools out there now that you can like upload the podcast to and like it gives you AI show notes and things like that. So that's a separate direction, but that's where I'm trying to take that.
Yeah.
So like what's the change that's going on? Like are you moving more towards that 3 and 3 month or are you like moving to something else?
I'm thinking about moving more, towards a 3 and 3 month. That's kind of like because I don't want to have to start chasing clients all the time. Like I don't like doing it. I don't do it now. So I'm just trying to get away from possible doing that. But and at the same time, I don't want to deal with 50 clients, bro. Like I rather deal with like 5 clients. Yeah. And just really build. Because that's really what I'm interested. Like one of my clients right now, he's a pro football player, but now he's like into the mental health motivation field. And like he just went on tour, bro. Like he just went on tour speaking to kids and like I like that shit. Like I don't want to deal with like someone for like a month and then like, all right, cool. Like no, I like someone that's building something and I want to be a part of that journey. So I'd rather only deal with like 5 clients. And that's on the high ticket end. So like what you need to do is like you need to sell like your premium package, which is like your main shit, but then you should sell like a cheaper. This ain't really so not like a disposable, but like a cheaper, like $1,000 or
like a loss leader kind of thing.
No, you can still make money off it, but you're not going for like quality at this point. You're just going for volume. So it can be like, hey, I can interview you on a podcast, but it'll be through Zoom, and you'll get 5 clips out of that, $1,500 or whatever, like a cheaper option, which is like because at that point you're going just for like volume, and that would be easy to scale. Especially if you do it through Zoom, bro. Like, you don't gotta leave you can bang 10 in a day. Yeah. That's 10 grand, right? Or whatever, how much money it is right there, So I think this should be like the premium offer and shit, like, because this is a lot of work. Yeah. But that's where I'm going. I'm doing like the cheaper route, and then I'm doing like the premium offer. And now I'm also opening up like the coaching as well for like other videographers. Just helping them like structure their offer, helping them like sell, helping them. Because one thing I realized about videographers is like, not videographers pure, but creatives, like they don't really know how to talk. Like they don't know how to talk to like business owners. Like, and we all went through it. Like I remember me too, like starting off, I was probably like, hey, like, do you want a free video? And they're like, I fucking yes, you know. But now as opposed to like, hey, you know, my process is more like, hey, like I'm looking through your social, I'm looking through your website, I'm seeing like you guys are lacking this, this, and this. I feel like if you put video here, I feel like you will triple your revenue, like da da da. And that's more like, oh, okay, like I'm willing to spend money on that. So like me just teaching videography, that stuff is like what I'm doing as well.
That's cool because and it puts you in a different spot too when you go to have the conversation, because like part of it is getting out of the commodity zone.
Yeah.
And knowing what you're worth, because doing stuff like this, part of the problem too is like there's other people doing podcast stuff in the area, but they have different business models, and a lot of times it's like, hey, it's free to be on, but then like we have this other service that we want to kind of sell here, and there's that I knew wasn't going to work for what I wanted to do, like to make it sustainable. I knew just at this level I couldn't make that work. Like I had to do something to
yeah, so I think that's like my question to you, like what separates you from other podcasts? Like if someone were to, like if you were like to pitch to someone, they're like, why do I do yours? Why don't I just do blah, blah, blah podcast?
Now it's going to be that promotion piece. Like, and there's people that I talk to that are like, that spend a ton of money on promotion stuff, but they're like, look, Fort Myers and Naples like really isn't my target market. I'm like, hey, fair enough, man. But then I'll talk to other people that it's like, yeah, we spend $6,000 a month on magazine ads. So, okay. So do you think that if you sat down for an hour, I asked you about who you are, your business, what you do, how you help customers, how you run your business, if we talk like that for an hour and that goes out to 1,000 to 2,000 local business professionals in Naples and Fort Myers, do you think that you can make enough sales to make back the 6,000? It's like, yeah. Like, okay. Do you think you can make that back in one friggin' deal? Like, yeah. I'm like, okay.
No-brainer,
plus,
bro.
here's your marketing content and everything from there. So that's like the differentiator. But even that still, because the platform itself isn't that big, that is one hurdle that I'm just like willing my way through at this point. Once we get this next season in the books and have this promo, and 1 million people see these fucking ads, the conversation is going to be entirely different for the season 3 of the podcast. Yeah. And I may not even have to sell. Yeah. I may just be able to put out something that's like, hey, here's the deposit. Let me know about your business. And then I might have like a list of approvals. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think a lot of business owners, they think about content and podcasts like the wrong way. Like they think of like they'll think of a podcast and they'll think about it like, they'll think about it like for you. They're like, how many views you got? Why would I go on? But it's really for them. It's like, bro, even if your shit gets 0 views, you can take this content, you could run it as a Facebook ad. Like, and Gary Vee talked about it. And it's funny because like, I'm like, yo, if Gary Vee gets it, why don't these other fucking guys get it? Like, I just don't. I don't really, so I think that's like how you need a position. Like, bro, this isn't for me. This is for you. Like, imagine if you all your frequently asked questions on your website. Imagine if we just answer all those and put it in video form and like fucking knock it out the park. Like, you know, I just think, and a lot of the guys they're awkward on camera too. I don't know if you realize that.
Yeah, but part of one of the things of why I like this approach is because I like doing this. Like, I like talking to people. I like kind of getting to the heart of like what they do. I kind of do that in conversations anyway. Yeah. But I try to make it where sometimes it's awkward to get on camera and like talk into the camera or do things like that. It feels weird. Like people aren't, if you're not used to it, I'm even used to it at this point, and it's still weird for me sometimes. It's still like, oh fuck, can't believe it. And like, but part of this is like the cameras are over there and then we're having this conversation. So we could kind of...
It's not as awkward,
It's not as awkward. I'm here to guide them through. They're not talking to the camera, they're talking to a person. And so, like, and plus having those pre-made things, I get to extract that stuff out. So I understand their business a little bit before we get in there, and then you can pull that out as we go. That's why I like the podcast piece, because it's somewhere between a sales conversation and somewhere between video recording. Yeah. It's kind of like best of both worlds in a way.
What is all right, let's say I kind of already know what angle you could hit him with, but I just want to see like your point of view. Like, what do you say to like, say a 7-8 figure guy, and you're like, hey man, you're trying to sell him this, and he's like, bro, why would I hire you? Why don't I just buy my own cameras, buy my mic, have my nephew ask me some fucking questions? Like, why would I need you? Like, what would be like your angle to them?
Try it out. See how it goes.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Like sometimes, like I've talked to people all like, I'm sure you have too, especially like people. It's funny, and podcast even has like maybe a lesser connotation than videography, because people are like, yeah, podcast, like, yeah, just go start.
Yeah, I'll just do it off my phone. Yeah.
All right, go start it.
Yeah.
And then there's a reason why there's freaking, it's either 2 point something or 4 point something million podcasts that exist. And there's a reason why we only know 500,000 have posted in the last 90 days and like 80,000 post consistently.
Yeah.
It's because it's a lot of fucking work.
Yeah, it is. But I think what I sell them on, which I think you should sell them on too, is like, again, the strategy after that. Like,
yeah.
Like, all right, bro, you're going to record yourself on your phone. Good job. Good luck. Maybe you're fucking amazing. But what are you going to do with that content after? I don't know. Exactly. Fucking just pay me, bro. Like, the fuck. And I deal with the same thing, because I'm like, all right, bro, you can make all these videos yourself. What are you going to do with the content after? I don't fucking know. I'm like, bro. From one 20-minute video, I can make you 300 pieces of content. Can your little cousin do that shit? No, exactly. Like, just fucking pay me, bro. Like, I don't know. They just ego and stuff. All right. So what is like? Okay, I think you pretty much got it, dude. Like,
I'm heading the right direction.
Yeah.
That's why I liked what you were talking about of like making it more of a business, because you're looking at more of a business. Like what? So where did that flip happen? Did it just come from being like, fuck this, I got to do something better?
Nah, from my mentors. So like, bro, I didn't like. It's funny. Like when I first started freelancing, I was like, bro, I just need to make $100,000 a year. If I can make $100,000 a year, I'm fucking good. Like I'm chilling. I'm rich. But the reason I put that limitation on myself is because I didn't know anyone. I didn't know a millionaire. You feel me? Like all the millionaires I knew were like fucking old and shit. So I was like, whatever.
Yeah.
So then, bro, it's crazy when I think about it. So I was freelancing and I was averaging maybe like $7,000 a month, which is good, right?
Yeah.
Which is good. And $5,000 to $7,000. But I was busting my ass. And one of my friends hits me up and he's like, hey man, like, I got this opportunity for you. I'm like, all right, what is it? He's like, yo, there's this millionaire dude that I know. He needs like a full-time creative director. He's like, you're great for the job. You bust your ass. You've podcasted. You've done video. Like, he's like, bro, I know you can do it. Like, it's not hard work and you work hard as shit. So he's like, would you take the job? And I'm like, well, what is he gonna pay? And he told me what he's gonna pay. And I'm like, bro, I'm making more than that now. And he was like, yeah, bro, you gotta think of it like he's like, don't look at it as like a job. Look at it as like an opportunity. He was like, bro, you're gonna be living with this dude. You're gonna learn so much shit. Like, just fucking take the job. And I was like, all right, fine, whatever. But he was like, but there's one catch though. And I was like, what is it? He's like, you gotta move to Puerto Rico. I was like, fuck, bro. I was like, I'm not fucking moving to Puerto Rico. Like, I don't even know this guy. Like, he could be fucking like a serial killer. Like, he's like, yeah, bro, but trust me, like, he's a friend of mine. He's solid. Like, he's like, bro, just take the meeting. And I took the meeting and I still wasn't sold. But I was just like, I don't know, bro. I was just like, fuck it, bro. Like, when else am I going to get this opportunity? And I was like, bro, it's perfect. Like, I don't have a girl. I don't have kids. I don't have family. I was like, all right, fuck it. So I took it and I moved in with the man and I saw everything, bro. Like, that shit, bro, I texted him the other day. I was like, bro, that was like the greatest gift you could have given me. Just like letting me see everything. And I saw like everything. Like, I saw like how he systemized his whole company. I saw what he really thought of content. And I'm like, okay, if he thinks of content like this, that means other business owners think of content like this. And I was like, okay, how? Because he hated content. He still hates content. So I'm like, all right, how can I get him to give a fuck about content? And I was thinking, I was like in the meetings and I was like watching like how they talk about marketing. And I'm like, okay, well, I can plug this in here, plug that in there. And then little by little, just through trial and error, I would like pitch him ideas. And little by little, I started making it make sense to him. But I had to speak his language. Like, I had to like really learn business. like what they give a fuck about, why. Like, I'm like, why you spend money on Facebook ads? He's like, oh, because Facebook ads you can scale. Like, you don't have to be in front of the camera all day. You shoot one ad, you dump a ton of money behind it. You can get all these leads. He was like, content can't fucking do that. And I'm like, damn, you're right. Content can't fucking do that. I'm like, all right, but what can content do? And I was like, okay, well, in these ads, you look like a fucking salesman. Content, yeah, I can make you look like a friend. He's like, why would I give a fuck about being someone's friend? I'm like, well, if you're someone's friend, they like you, trust you, they believe in you, familiar with the product, I'm like, they're more likely to buy. He's like, oh, that's fucking stupid. Fuck that shit. And then sure enough, Gary Vee drops a video about like, yo, content. And then I show him the video. And he's like, all right, I still think it's stupid, but fuck, let's try it. So we started trying it. We started putting shit out. And it was a lot of trial and error, dude. And then until we put out this one clip. Bro, so like this, mind you, this dude's like 30. He's like a young guy. Young millionaire, like fucking land. But he's the truth though. Like when you hear young millionaire, you think of like fucking coked out parties. Like, no, he's like, he buzzes ass. Anyways, like him being young, he documented his whole journey. Like he would have a camera and he would like vlog and shit like that. He just never put it out. So I was going through like one of his hard drives. He had like 5 terabyte hard drive, bro. I was like going through that shit for like 5 hours. I was watch. Boom, I see like an old clip of his from like 2016. He's like chubby. He's like he's trying to shoot an ad, but he keeps fucking up. He's like, all right, I need 5 trailers. Oh, fuck. And he keeps fucking up, right? And I'm like, yo, that's perfect. So I cut that shit and we put it out on social media. The next day, his marketing team was like, yo, we got hella leads from this shit. Because people like to see like your journey, like to see organic. And when he saw that, when all that happened, like it clicked for him. And then he was just like, yo, let's full steam ahead. And then we just started like building content. And he's still doing it now. He's trying to like work on his YouTube and shit. But like that was when I saw that and I realized like what the power of content can do, like it could turn you from a salesman to like a likable guy from down the street. And like, bro, I was like, all right, that's my angle with everyone. So like we doubled down on that shit, got a bunch of good results, and now that's pretty much where I learned everything.
Nice.
I don't know if that like answers your question.
That's fucking sweet, dude. What a cool opportunity, man.
Yeah. I was just with them, and we're still homies and stuff. Bro, just like a wealth of knowledge, dude. Like just the wealth of knowledge, bro. Like I just learned so much. Like
it's cool to be around people like that, where you just like you could just watch and learn. Like I've had a few of those people working, not in this. Kind of figured out, just done a lot of this solo, but like previous careers, like watching people walk into a room full of like executives or walk into a room full of like maintenance technicians that have been doing this for 30 years and just like run the situation, answer their questions, like get them what they need. Like watch somebody do that shit and you're just sitting there like, whoa.
Yeah.
It's cool to be a part of. Like you get to fuse it into your like psyche.
Yeah, man. That taught me a lot, dude. Like it taught me like 2 things I learned most just running around with him, right? It taught me like, I think I talked about it in one of my reels, bro. It's like success rewards speed, bro. Like you just got to do it. Like a lot of people, they'll ideate some shit, they'll talk about it, but like the quicker you can do it, even if you fuck up, because you're gonna learn along the way. You're gonna pivot. And he told me that before I left. Like before I moved out with him, he was asking me like, bro, what are you gonna do with your business? I was like, I don't fucking know, bro. He was like, bro, that's fine, bro. That's the best thing. He's like, just do shit and figure it out and pivot along the way. So that's one. And the second thing that I learned with him too is like, I don't know, bro. I just stopped being scared, dude. Like I would be in these meetings and I would get intimidated because you see all these suits and all these guys and like, I was just a kid. Like, but this is before I was working with him. So I was just a kid and I was just like intimidated and like, you know, like they'll use like certain type of jargon and they'll do all this shit, but it's all bullshit, bro. Like me being around him and talking to him and like really getting to like what business owners really give a fuck about. Like, I don't know. Like I just stopped being scared of just, I don't know. I could just pitch to anyone. I can make it make sense.
Yeah.
So.
And part of that comes with like some success too.
Yeah.
Like being able to do it, have some success, have things rolling, like have consistent money coming in. Like that makes it where a lot of times you are less afraid to pitch because it's
your shit works.
Well, it works and it's not so devastating when it doesn't.
Right.
So like when you're coming from a place like of constant scramble,
yeah,
like you're always like, this this deal is kind of a make or break.
Make or break, yeah.
And then they're like, yeah, I'm not seeing the value. And you're like, well, what if I do it for $5?
Yeah.
Well, I guess. And then it's just a shitty situation for everybody. But I learned that at the last job is if you've got a solid pipeline and you have things coming in consistently, it makes every sales conversation about moving the ball forward versus please buy. Like
a point that I said earlier is you no longer care about the money. You just care about the results. Because if you don't need the money, if you're not like desperate for the money, you don't need to take the job. But you want to take the job because you want to help, with their marketing or whatever. So you worry more about the results. And in my mind, I think when you worry more about the results, you work better, bro, because you know the why. Like, why do we need to do this? Because we need to get this, and this. Okay, so you just, at least with me, I work a lot harder when it's like that.
Well, and it's kind of the difference between being an employee and owning your own business, right? Because like when you focus on the money, I get more into kind of back in the mindset when I was an employee. And like you said, like you put like, oh man, if I make $100,000, I'm fucking set, dude. That's sweet. And then you start running everything. You start seeing the expenses that things actually cost. And then you start looking at your day-to-day life, how you're interacting with your work, like kind of the resentment that's building up in your work, which is like, work-life balance is fine, but like you spend a lot of time working. Yeah. And if you hate it and it's starting to like boil up, it's a shitty place to be. And so like one thing I've been focusing on lately is like that expansion of the goal and setting the right mindset. And I was at a podcast convention and they were
saw that actually. That was good.
Yeah. And they were having like a meeting about like mastermind groups.
Yeah.
That's part of the reason why I reached out. I'm like, dude, you fucking figuring things out. Like, I've got to be connected. Like, just share ideas.
Yeah, no, that's important, dude. That's important. Like, I got a mastermind group now, and none of them live here. Actually, they're all like, they're just people that I met like on my journey and stuff. But they're all like in the entrepreneur spirit. And one of them does video, but the other guy's like tech. The other guy does sales. The other guy like, and it's just good, bro. Like, it's like, I don't know if you go through this, but I go through this where it's like sometimes I don't have anyone to talk to about this shit. Like,
I was just talking to an entrepreneur yesterday. It's like you feel like you're not on an island all the time.
Yeah, like you can talk to family, you can talk to friends, but they don't get it. They don't get it, bro. Like, so it's important to have that support system because you go crazy, dude. Like,
you go fucking nuts.
Yeah.
And it's like you are crazy, but like you're not that crazy. Like it's like you.
Yeah.
Like if you're willing to do this, you're kind of different than a lot of people.
Yeah.
So like it's hard for them to relate on that front anyway. And then you're like, so I'm testing out this strategy where if I put this clip out, but then I put a story out, and then I use this like word so somebody can message it, and then it's actually going to activate this automation piece, and that's going to drive these sales. So like. You're like, bro, like all right, that's cool. Like,
yeah. And what's crazy is, I don't know if you go through this too, but I'm trying to be careful how I say it. I don't. It's not like dumbed down, but it's like my girlfriend has a job, so like she'll complain about her day. Mind you, she's like a she's corporate, so it's like a good job. But like she'll complain about like whatever
something, and
I'm just like, I almost lost my company today. Like I almost had to fucking fire someone. Like I don't give a fuck. Like, but I have to like, like, yeah. Like I don't want to be seen as a dick, so I gotta like care about her shit. And it's just like sometimes people's like, I don't know what they bitch about. I'm just like, bro, that's really what you're kind of fucking crying about.
And then you're like, wait, am I a dick? And then you're like, okay, yes, this is, I understand how you feel. Yeah, dude, I get it.
And what's funny is I caught myself doing it this year. Like I've started to like defend like crazy entrepreneurs. Like
yeah, dude.
Like, I'm like, yo, Kanye. I'm like, I don't agree with that crazy, but I'm like, I get it, bro. Yeah. Like I just see the frustration. I'm like, bro, I've been there. Not on that scale. I'm sure it's a different scale, but I've been that frustrated. Same thing with like when they would say shit about like Steve Jobs freaking out on. I'm like, bro, I've been there. Like I even with my old mentor, like when we lived together, he would freak out on people, and I didn't get it at the time. I'm like, I'm like, bro, what the fuck? Like, you fucking dick. But now I'm like, the other day I texted him, I'm like, bro, I get it, bro. Like, when you have employees, it's different. Like,
Well, and you got a mission too.
yeah, it's like, bro, just do what I need you to do. That's it. Like,
well, and you're balancing a lot of stuff, right? Like you said, like, oh fuck, I almost lost my company today. It's like, oh man, I didn't do like, and when I'm small now, it's like, oh man, I didn't do the legwork I needed to do to protect like the pipeline.
Yeah.
And now I'm looking at like, oh shit, what is coming in? Where's the revenue coming from?
Yeah.
And that's a different place to be in than like, oh, I hope my boss doesn't find out that I didn't make enough calls. It's
or
like,
I don't like that Sally said blah, blah, blah.
Yeah,
like,
and I've never been like I've avoided fucking gossip like the plague, dude. I can't do it. As soon as somebody's like, "Did you hear what so and so said?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, no, that's crazy." Yeah, I just shit myself. I gotta go to the bathroom. And they're like, "Oh, okay, see." Like I'll fucking throw myself under a bus to like get away from shit like that. I fucking hate it. I can't do it. But well, one of the things like is expanding that goal set. Like I did the same thing. I set the limit at like if I bring in 120 in revenue, like that would be pretty sweet. And if I was doing everything just by myself and I could do it and I enjoyed all that stuff, like that might work. But you can't scale it, and you can't ever remove yourself from doing that particular job. So it's like, okay, if I set my thing there, then that's what I'm going to be doing for the next 3 years. If I don't change it, and I'm going to feel like this for 3 years. Like, do I want that? No. All right, well, what if I set my goal 3 times higher? Like, at least in the short term. Like, what does that do? Oh, shit. I shift my focus from, like, the expense cutting and, like, all these things, which is good, healthy practice, but it's like now I look at deals and I go, like, how do I actually move this deal forward? Like, what do they actually need help with? What is the challenge that this business has? How can I help solve it? How can I take what I'm doing for $1,500 and charge $6,000? What's the solution to that? What like, and I shift my focus from like, let me just make this work to like, oh, it's not here. It's this whole fucking table.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at something that's like the size of this phone. Like this is all I'm looking at right now.
Yeah.
And I know that if I at least expand my view to like 6 phones wide on this table, like, all right, I got more playing room and I know there's more to go. How do I get out of this zone to the next zone? And like, I'm just shifting my focus to solve these problems and get to that level. I don't know. It's that change is, it gives me hope even too. Like this isn't the end all be all. Yeah. I don't know. Do you ever does that make any sense what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Well, you mean like expanding my vision?
Yeah, like where you start with like a small goal and then you work towards it, but you're like almost digging yourself into a hole versus if you set something wider and bigger, even if it's focused, like you start moving sideways and forward.
Yeah, so that actually happened. Yeah, that happened like I was bringing up earlier. I'm like, how can I make $1 million? I'm like, okay, I can't do it doing this. I can do it with video with camera, but I just can't do it doing video production unless I get like $25,000 video contract. But even those though, like, because I talked to buddies of mine in Miami, like they get these huge contracts, but then they have to budget it out and they got to hire people, they got to hire lighting, gaffing, and at the end of the day, their take home's like a few grand. It's like, fuck that shit, bro. It's not worth it.
Yeah, so a lot of work, moving pieces, a lot of emotions.
Yeah, so I'm like, okay, how could and that's helped me a lot too, because everything that I think about, I'm thinking about like 2 things. I'm thinking about if I can be a millionaire off of it, and if I can see myself doing it for 10 years. Because same thing with wedding. Like I came in the game doing weddings, and there's good money in weddings, and you can I know a guy who's a millionaire off weddings and stuff, but I just couldn't see myself doing it for 10 years. I just didn't, like, I don't care enough. So that's why I shifted to where I'm doing. So I think that's 2 things everyone needs to think about. Like, can I get rich off this? And I know like rich is like, people look at it as like a vanity thing, but when I think of rich, I think of like how high I can go and how far I can go. So like, can I get rich off this? And then like, can I do this forever? And I think So like with you, I think you could do it too, bro. You just gotta like find a way to remove yourself from this. So you would have to hire like someone to do interviews.
Yep.
And it doesn't even have to be that hard, bro. You could just template out. You just got to make them understand what you ask and why you ask it. Once you have that templated out, you can hire someone to do that. You could even you could do like the retainer stuff, like 3 to 6 months, because content is just advertising. So just pitch it like that. Be like, hey, bro, like you come on for one episode, get 10 clips, or we can have you on as a guest every 2 weeks, every month, and you can really like dial in. And we can really focus on the pain points. We can even break down the pain points. If there's like 5 pain points on why people should hire you, we can make each episode one of those pain points. And we could just dial it in, and you could just flood everyone with content. And I think people would definitely bite, bro. Like, and as far as like the lower tier shit, I think you should do Zoom, bro. Like, this is like premium shit, and just do it through Zoom, because from there you can just go for volume. You know, if you bang out 10, 15 in a day, that's 10, 15 grand in a day. And you don't have to
set all this up.
Yeah, you just do it at home.
Schedule is coordinated, all that stuff.
Yeah, you would just have to convince them, like, they would already kind of have to get it. So they would have to have like a webcam, like for good quality shit. Like,
yeah. Or hey, part of the package is like $250. We'll like ship you a temporary fucking setup or something like that.
Yeah. And then you can even like, another way for you can scale, bro, is you can do like a course or a class on how to do your podcast.
I'm gonna get to that point, because there's with this thing, right? There's 2 things you just said that I've been thinking about a lot. I like your Zoom thing. I know
a guy that does that, actually.
I got to play around with that, because that's I like your execution. I didn't think of it this way, so thank you. But so 2 things is removing myself as the interviewer. So at a certain point, I basically want to build the foundation to where the foundation itself has value, then put somebody else in once this thing takes on its life. So
what did that timeline look like, though?
Probably 2 years. Probably realistically 2 to 3 years.
Okay, you don't think I feel like that's a long time, though.
It could be. And I might be able to do it sooner.
Yeah.
But realistically, if I'm doing a season of 12 and then a season of 12, like do that twice a year, it might just make sense for me to do it, because I can do all the recording in a month, hand off the editing, the clips, all that stuff, make sure the promotion's going steady, but get 12 episodes done in a month. 6 months later, 12 episodes done in a month. So it's like, those will be heavy months, but it's not life consuming like doing it consistently is. So like, I think that'll be good there. I don't know what the hell my other point was. I'm just fucking
how does so what is the workflow like? Like, does he edit? Like, do you?
Yeah. So basically, we do the interviews. Ty takes it. He edits out the full episode. Pulls out the clips. And then we were just doing like captions on them. But now he's getting pretty good at video editing and doing the graphics and stuff. And we're testing some things out. He's I'll give you a shout out, dude. You're doing fucking great job, man. And so we're gonna start playing around with that. Like he put one together yesterday for a customer that came on the show 3-4 weeks ago, something like that. And I sent him the clip. He's like, "Yo, dude, this is fucking awesome. Like, hey man, would you like? Could we even do something where like I would pay you to just boost it on your channels?" And I'm like, that's a possible advertising route. Some guy from Australia reached out to me who's got a podcast in like construction rental equipment, like Herc and Sunbelt Rental, that kind of stuff. And that's part of his thing is like he grew his LinkedIn platform to like 9,000 followers on the business page by selling like ad space on audiograms and video clips. And that money goes to promote, like boost that post. And so actually, this might be helpful if you come across corporate clients. I want to try to do this, but if you boost that post, you also can get analytics on that. So he would like, let's say you put $500 to boost a post for like a week. It'll show you like how many people viewed it, but also like it'll show you a list of companies that viewed it and like how many times employees from that company viewed it. So Like
this is on LinkedIn?
On LinkedIn's analytics.
Okay.
Which I had no idea that this was there.
I didn't know they did. Yeah, I didn't know they did that either.
And so basically you go in, put an ad out, you get a list of companies that have viewed it. And so let's say it's like, I'm making this up, but like employees from Apple watched your video 2,400 times. In this case, like think of it like a smaller company, whatever it might be. Like people from this company watch your video 2,400 times. They only have 200 employees. So they're seeing that video in those 2 weeks, like each 10 to 20 to 30 times.
Yeah.
Here, give this list to your sales reps. Call these companies because these people know who you are right now. They've seen you 10, 15, 20 times in the past month. Like it's at least scrolled past. When you call, it's not going to be so cold. It's not.
They're already going to know who you are. Yeah.
You're at least starting from there versus like, who is this? What do you do? They might say, who is this? What do you do? But it's like, yeah, you may have seen some of our stuff on LinkedIn. Oh,
and if they really like your shit, they'll bat for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's interesting. I didn't know that. That's really good.
That was really cool. And he had a good revenue like coming from that route. He said there's limitations like to what you can make, but I don't know. I'm going to start doing that for.
Have you thought about doing like sponsors and stuff too?
Yeah. So that's what I'm trying to lock in for the next season to really like do like a 90-second ad spot at the beginning.
Yeah.
Maybe somewhere in the middle, maybe an end roll kind of thing. So I want to get that, but if I can't, baked in enough on the cost that I can cover this season, then the next season is like kind of a no-brainer for people.
How many followers you
got? Instagram, 800 something maybe. LinkedIn, 2,200. Things like that.
So the reason I'm asking is because I was just watching a podcast where they were talking about that. Actually, he was talking about how he got into like he runs a podcast. So he was talking about how he got some sponsorships. So what he was saying is, this is kind of like what he said. He was like, hey, if you're on episode 1, if you don't have like a huge following on your podcast, this is what you can do. So what he did is he took his Instagram, Facebook, he took his social media analytics, and he put it on like a little data sheet to give to businesses, whatever. But he was like, hey, listen, I can talk about your product on the podcast, and then I can, when I put the clips out of my guests, I can also tag your company like this is sponsored by blah, 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 blah. Because he said even if you don't have good YouTube or podcast analytics, if you have a good social media following, you can still leverage that to like, have people. So
all right. That's like, thanks. Cause it's like kind of one of those situations where you hear something like 3 times and you're like, all right, I got it.
Oh, someone else told you that too?
Yeah. I've seen it from two other people who are telling me like kind of the same thing. So
yeah,
thanks for triangulating.
Even then, bro, like even if you just like do a fake one, like even if you're not getting paid, like maybe you don't want to post this out there, but even if you're not getting paid and you do like a fake one, as long as they see that you're good on camera, you know how to deliver an ad, you know how to do all that shit, they'll still use it. So some other guy I know, he's based out of Tampa. He did a free ad for Link. It's like the digital business card company, whatever. Anyways, he did a free ad for them just because he wanted to get his foot in the door. And it was very like organic, very like, the way content's done nowadays. And they ran his ad. Like they chose his ad. They didn't pay him, but they ran it. And he popped up on my feed and I sent him a screenshot. He's like, okay, perfect. And I told him like, yo, take a screenshot, look at the analytics, see how many views it gets, whatever, and use this as leverage to like the next company. Like, hey, look, I did an ad for Link. It got 12,000 views. Like, and I think that'll work to get like, for him to start getting paid and shit. But I think you should do that too.
Yeah. So what kind of companies do you focus on working with? Like what kind
It's more like entrepreneurs. So what I do is help develop personal brands because the problem is a lot of entrepreneurs and CEOs, they want to get in front of the camera. There's 2 things. They know the value of getting in front of the camera, right? For example, like you think of Elon Musk, Tesla. You think of Steve Jobs, Apple. You think of Jordan, Nike. You think of fucking Kanye, Yeezy. You think of like, there is value in getting in front of the camera, right? I was reading a report Elon Musk, Tesla, they don't spend any dollars on advertising.
Yeah, no traditional
None.
methods.
I think Elon is the only advertising they do, right? Which he does a great job. But anyways, so yeah, a lot of these guys see the value of getting in front of the camera. They just don't know how to. So I help develop that, right? Like this is like where my radio background comes in. And all that stuff is like I develop like, I don't tell you what to say because I don't believe in having a vanilla brand, but I at least show people the proper way. It's a form of media training. It's like a proper way how to articulate yourself in front of the camera without changing who you are. Because to be an entrepreneur, to be a CEO, you have to kind of, business is very emotionless, very logic-based. So you have to kind of have this wall up. But when you're on camera, that wall makes you look like a dick, right? So I teach them like how to be vulnerable. And when I say vulnerable, like you don't have to have your kids on camera. You don't even got to talk about your kids. But you as a human being, I help etch that out. And so I help etch that out, and then we just create content based on that. So it's a lot of like pre-recording conversations going on. It's a lot of pre-planning going on. Like usually the way it works, like if someone comes on board, we have like Zoom conversations probably like 4 or 5 times. And each time is like an hour and a half long before we even shoot anything. Because I gotta like learn you. I gotta learn who you are, your mannerisms, and then I gotta translate that on camera. And then that's pretty much it. Then I help with like the distribution, we put it out. But it's really developing personal brands. And I really enjoy that. Like that's something I can see myself doing for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Like I really like, I like business. So I like working with entrepreneurs one-on-one. I don't want to go through your fucking managed marketing team. Like I want to talk to you directly. I like that. And I just like, I don't know, bro. I just like, I don't have like a proper way to say it. I just like creating dope shit. Like I like making people look dope on camera. So that's really what I enjoy.
That's cool, man.
Yeah, man. It's been a wild ride, bro. Like when I think about it sometimes, I'm like, bro, the circles I've been in, like, and the type of people I've been around is just crazy. I like this, a lot of times this shit that I would have never guessed. Like right, one of my clients now is like a pro golfer, and he's like, I don't know anything about golf, but he's like showing me like how to network using golf, and he's telling me stories of he's like played golf in like India with like some head of the oil, whatever the fuck. Like he's just telling me all this shit, and I'm just getting exposed, and I'm just like, damn. Like, so yeah, I'm grateful for it.
That's cool, man.
Yeah, man. Thanks.
That's cool, dude. And so, all right. So before we kind of wrap this up,
Yeah.
you said you had an interesting story how you got into how you got into all this.
Oh yeah, so I interned in the radio station. I interned on 105.5. So I always wanted to be in radio. Like I wanted to be like Charlemagne. Like that was like my goal. I just didn't know how to do it. And so I went to 105.5 and I was like, hey man, like I want to work for you guys. What do I do? They're like, oh, we only accept interns from FGCU. At the time I was going to FSW. So I was like, all right, fine. So I transferred over to FGCU and I signed up for the internship class. And I was like a sophomore at the time. And they're like, hey, we only take internships for seniors. You can't come in. And then I wrote like this fucking lengthy ass email like, hey, I'm poor. Like, help me out. Like, it's my dream, blah, 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 blah. And she was like, all right, fine. Like, I'll let you in. You know, I really liked your email. You're very heartfelt, whatever. But you got to write me an essay like every week on like what your experience is like interning for the radio station. I was like, all right, fine, done. Do it. Signed the contract. She gave me the paperwork. I went to 105.5 and I was like, hey, look, I go to FGCU. I'm interning for you guys. They're like, all right, cool. Come in. Here's your desk and whatever. And as soon as they let me in, I just never went back to school. I just dropped out. And I just stayed there. And then, like the teacher was emailing me like, hey, where's your report? And I was like, fuck you, bitch. I'm already, my foot's in the door. Like, I don't give a fuck. So like, I was working there and they had me like, you know, like when you call in and you win shit, like they had me like giving out like the prizes, like here, but I didn't want to do that. I wanted to be on the radio. So I went to the program director. I was like, hey man, like this is stupid. I don't want to do this. Like I want to actually learn. Like, what do I do? And he's like, okay, work with First Lady Nikki. And then I was working with her, and then that developed, and then me and her got real cool. And she was like, hey, go work with Quest. Then I was like, hey, go work with The Morning Show. Then I was like, hey, Cat Country's right down the hall. You should go there. Hey, I forgot the other station. You should go. And I was just like bouncing around. And I did that shit for like 3 years, bro. And I got to know everyone. I got to learn the ins and outs. And then from there, I wanted a job. Obviously, I was getting older, and they were like, "Yo, we don't have a budget." So I started doing podcasting. Then from the podcasting, another radio station saw that, and they were like, "Hey, come work for us." And so then I worked at the radio station, and it all like developed. But I'm sure, like, like there's no money in radio. So then a marketing company was like, "Hey, come do video for us." Because at the time, I was shooting my own video. I was doing what you were doing, and they were like, "Yo, come work for us. Like, you're good at video." So I worked for the marketing company, and that's where I learned like marketing and business and like video and then from there, damn, there's like a pattern of me like hustling. But from there, like they saw I was smart, so they started letting me in to like some of the meetings. And then when I was in the meetings, I was like listening to shit, and I'm like, oh, like I can do this myself, or I can make more money doing this shit. So I was like, all right, I'm out. So I quit and I started freelancing. And then Puerto Rico, and then all that other shit happened. So
it's cool, man. That's like I think that piece is important to just like keep fucking moving, right?
Yeah.
Like, just keep doing shit because I even get it with this. Like I'm not that young anymore. I just turned 30.
Yeah.
So I'm like not old, but I'm out of the 20s. Like I'm not like a kid anymore. So you can't do like kid shit anymore.
Yeah.
But like it's just a constant movement. And now that I've done all those things, move around to different companies, change things, go here, move to Orlando, all this different stuff. And like, but now that I have my own company, now I'm doing the same stuff, but it's just within my company.
Yeah.
And I've even looked at stuff too, just being like, hey man, does this even make sense to have a company? Like, would it make sense to go do this for somebody else?
Yeah.
And make money that way, and then have my personal stuff, get my music going, like all that kind of stuff. And I think that's kind of how I came to this conclusion of like, what if I just work for other companies, but it's my own company? Because I don't know, then you get, like we said, get out of the commodity zone, all this kind of stuff. And I feel more like a mission then.
Yeah, so essentially what they would do is they would just white label your services. They'll just like, hey, we got a podcast, but it's really your podcast, and you're just telling them what to do, and that works too. I know someone who does that. Not the podcast space, but they white label all their services, and they make a shit ton of money.
Yeah, it's like, and even that, it's like I wouldn't really care if it's white label.
Yeah.
Have people come, actually, do you get this too? People come to you like, hey man, I need you to do all this work, but like I'm going to get you a lot of like, there's going to be like a lot of people that like this. And I'm like, yeah, why don't I take all those likes and I'm going to go over to my mortgage company and be like, hey, like, look, I can't pay you this week, or this month, but dude, I put out a piece of content that these guys shared and it got 130 likes. Can we do something with this? Like, yeah, all right, cool.
Yeah, bro, fuck that, bro. It's crazy. It's like they devalue like creative, but that's what you need the most, bro. Like.
Because people don't really understand. They don't really understand.
It's not a tangible thing.
It's not a tangible thing. Which, and most of the time, I even do a shitty job of explaining it too. Sometimes, but it is hard to explain it sometimes.
Yeah, but that don't mean shit either, though, bro. I know a guy. He's not gonna probably see this, but if he does, I love you. But he's my boy. He sells mindset. He literally sells mindset. Like, if you're feeling shitty about your life, you go to him. He'll put you in a program and he'll coach your mindset and like make you like believe in it. Like,
I'm going through one of those programs now.
Okay, and I'm sure it's great, but it's not tangible either.
It's not tangible. But yeah, like you said, like the reason I got there is because of going through all the other things and being like, oh yeah, at the end of the day, this is the thing. I just need to fucking fix this. Like, rather than, like you said, stop being scared about this or that, or coming from a place of fear. Like, all right, I got to do this. This guy looks like he's solved his mindset issues.
Yeah.
Like, when I talk to him, like, I don't get any of the feelings of like, there's issues with the mindset. Let me pay this guy. Let me see what he's got to solve.
The point I was making though is like, when I saw him do that, and he was making, I think he was making like $30K a month. And when I'm like, bro, if you can sell that, I can sell video, bro. Fuck that.
Yeah.
Like, bro. Yeah. Like, and I respect what he does, but I'm like, if you can sell that shit, I can sell video. Fuck that. So, yeah, man.
Oh yeah. Well, dude, thanks for coming and doing this. It was great to meet you, and I'm glad.
Hopefully, you got what you wanted. I'm
dude,
like bad at like.
No, dude, this is fucking perfect because
Okay.
I wanted to sit down and talk with you about this stuff because, yeah, like you said, it's kind of it's like lonely out there doing this stuff, and yeah, when I heard you talk about the shift and the way that you look at this stuff from a business perspective and everything like that, I'm like, all right, we gotta sync up because I don't know what it even means, but just like I just want to be able to call you, bounce ideas off, and same thing, and like I don't know, just learn from you. Like I've been learning from your shit ever since I started following you, probably like 6-7 months ago.
Yeah.
Like, I watch it all the time. I'm like,
oh, thank you, man.
That's a good fucking idea. And it's gonna sound stupid, but the fonts on your videos lately have been fucking on point.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I'm trying to stand. Everyone's doing like that type of video now, so I'm like, let me just try something different so I don't look like everybody else's shit. But,
no, it's cool. I like the yellow background and everything.
yeah,
it's pretty
man.
sweet.
Thanks. I think wrapping up though, I think every business needs to have a podcast. So I think like what you're in, I think there's definitely a lane, and you can definitely maximize from that shit. Because I was talking to a friend about this the other day. Every company now kind of operates like a mini media team. Like
yeah.
So,
Yeah, and look at these big ass companies buying up or starting their own media companies, like multi-million-dollar media companies, like Salesforce bought stuff.
You know? Yeah. So if they're doing it, that means these smaller businesses need to do that as well. So,
on some capacity.
Yeah, yeah, and it's like hire, and I'm really trying to like sell you right now, but it's like hiring you is like, okay, what, like if these guys hire a videographer, a graphic designer, a blah blah blah, a media buyer, all this shit, the price of that compared to the price of whatever you're charging, I'm like, they can get all that in one, like,
yeah,
you know,
and it's you delivering the message as the business owner.
So you're PR as well, and it's like, I'm sure more people are gonna watch this and fucking see him in a magazine or some shit like that, like, so. It's a no-brainer, but
agreed. Well, dude, where can people find you, follow you?
Instagram Lavoe Life, LAVOELIFE. That's everything. Website, Facebook, everything. So just type that in. YouTube, yeah.
Cool. All right.
Cool, man. Thank you.
Thanks, dude.